Sitting in front of me is a 2019 R1M, and in today's video I'm going to be comparing both bikes with one another. The Yamaha brand of motorcycles are very known for racing, and the Yamaha R6 is synonymous with winning over 100 AMA races in Moto America. But the Yamaha R1 or R1M is synonymous with MotoGP. Although this motorcycle may not be the MotoGP motorcycle, this is a completely different bike, but this is as best as we can get for the street. And the R6 is the best super sport that you can potentially own as a 600 class motorcycle, and this is what we have as the best for the street. So let's start off first with my Yamaha R6. The Yamaha R6 is a 599cc engine. Now, the characteristics of this motor as well as the torque figures have changed since I took ownership of this motorcycle. I added an ECU to it. If you don't know all the details of what I've done to this motorcycle, you can find all the information in the playlist, which I will also link to this video. But I've done extensive mod work to the motorcycle. I've added a Leo Vence exhaust, I've added a quick shifter from Translogic, ECU tune, added a lighter battery pack. Long story short, this motorcycle is not what I purchased. This thing is fully optimized, not only for the street, but also for the track. The motorcycle at the current moment has somewhere around 114 horsepower to the wheel, somewhere around the 10,000 to 11,000 RPM range. It no longer has a flat spot, something that Yamaha R6s are pretty known for if they don't have some kind of a tune. So this motorcycle from 1,000 RPM all the way to 16,000 RPM no longer has a flat spot, has continuous power throughout the rev range, and not only that, but it has a lot more torque and a lot more horsepower than it did before. But that being said, the Yamaha R6 is a sensational motorcycle, perfect for someone who's got at least 6 months or more of experience under their belt. Moving over to the Yamaha R1, this motorcycle doesn't really need that much of an introduction. The Yamaha R1, as I mentioned before, is MotoGP derived, and the Yamaha R6 borrows from the R1 the styling, which is MotoGP derived as well, because if you look at both of them from the rear, they're very similar. But the R1 has a little slope right here, and the R6 is kind of like angular. And I think that's freaking beautiful looking. Both of these motorcycles is something that I imagine comparing for a long time. This Yamaha R1M is 100% brand new, so it hasn't been molested as of yet. Chris, who's sitting over there enjoying his phone conversation, owns this motorcycle, and he literally picked this baby up, and I was super anxious to get this thing and talk about it with you guys and do a video. After I'm done with this video, I'm actually going to do the full review process. So I brought my little cheat sheet because there's a lot of information about this motorcycle. So the Yamaha R1 is kind of like your Ducati V4S, and the R1M is like your Ducati V4R. The V4R is track focused, and in similar fashion the R1M is the track focused motorcycle for Yamaha R1s. The difference between this one and the regular R1 is, as you can see, it has the electronic adaptive suspension. The engine has titanium push rods. You get magnesium wheels as well. The magnesium wheels, if I put it on my motorcycle, which should shave off probably about 5 to 7 pounds, will cost me about maybe about 4 or 5 grand, but on this motorcycle, it's already got it in this package that we're looking at, which is phenomenal. I wish I had magnesium wheels on the R6, but I don't. You might think that 5-10 pounds for $5,000 is a lot of money, and yes it is, but 5 to 7 pounds or 5 to 10 pounds of rotating mass can make the bike feel a lot better on the track. It can flick a lot easier, turn in really easier, and that's why you pay what you pay for magnesium wheels. This is why they're such a great upgrade on a motorcycle. Am I going to do magnesium or carbon wheels on my R6? Absolutely. When am I going to do it? I don't really know, because it's going to cost a lot of money, as I mentioned, but sooner or later, these wheels will be changed to magnesium or carbon, just like this R1M. Other than that, as you can see here, it has a data logger because it's a track-focused motorcycle. They put a data logger here, and looking at this, touching it, it almost makes me feel as if I am near a MotoGP motorcycle. If you ever take a look at the MotoGP motorcycle, they have like a little antenna that's coming up or something that's coming up here, and this is very reminiscent of that. Then other differences between the R1 and the R1M is that every single body panel that you see here, carbon fiber, carbon fiber, carbon fiber, carbon fiber, carbon fiber. God, it's absolutely gorgeous. Unbelievable, unbelievable, beautiful, beautiful. Everything about this motorcycle is gorgeous. As you can imagine, just like the standard R1, it does have an IMU, and an IMU stands for Inertial Measurement Unit. It's responsible for things like cornering traction control, cornering ABS, the anti-lift control that this has, etc., etc. You've heard me talk about it a million times in my videos, and if you Google IMU for motorcycles, you'll see that everybody pretty much talks about it in most modern superbikes. And as a matter of fact, it's not even a superbike thing anymore. It's so widely available now that they're even in base price motorcycles. So that's another inclusion in this motorcycle, something that will definitely make you faster and safer on the road. The other good thing about this motorcycle is that it's got a quick up and down shifter and an engine that has 200 horsepower to the crank. Torque in this motorcycle, as you can imagine, is through the roof as well, and that's 82.6 foot-pounds. I'm not exactly sure at what RPM you get there, but regardless, it's super fast. The other massive difference between the two motorcycles is that on the Yamaha R1M you get a 200 size rear tire, and you get a 180 on the R6. The tires in the front are 120. They're 120 in the front on this as well. Brakes, as you can imagine, are pretty meaty as well. I believe these are Nissan brakes. It doesn't mention anything about it, but I believe they are. Correct me if I'm wrong, or if you know what kind of brakes they are, write down in the comment section down below. But these are dual disc 320 millimeter, and as you can see here, they've done this correctly because this is a race bike meant for the street with a number plate. This has steel braided brakes, and oh no, these are not steel braided, but the fronts are definitely steel braided where it matters. So the differences are vast between the two motorcycles. Steel braided brakes, non-steel braided brakes, IMU system, non-IMU system, full tricked out LCD dash, or TFT, whichever you want to call it, and you have an analog / TFT on the R6. Styling on these motorcycles look very similar as well, except that the front on the Yamaha R6 looks a little bit sleeker because these lights are kind of hidden underneath here on the R6 versus on these, they're kind of sticking out. Obviously, this motorcycle doesn't have any carbon, but this one does. But there are a couple of similarities though, because the mirrors on both these motorcycles are exactly the same thing, and the back as well as some of the body panels look very, very similar, except as I mentioned before, the rear of the R6 is very angular, while on the R1M they're also angular, but they're kind of rounded off over here, but obviously carbon fiber. The back light is exactly the same thing. This looks to be aluminum, and I'm not exactly sure what this is, but it could potentially be aluminum. If you guys know what it is on my R6, write down in the comments down below. But the R6 has been a motorcycle that they haven't changed since 2005 or 2006. Well, they have made significant changes back in 2007 because the bodywork is completely different. But as far as the frame is concerned, as far as the engine is concerned, there's absolutely no differences. Back in 2017, they gave it KYB suspension, they changed out the nuts and brakes and the body panels and everything else, and they gave it a lighter fuel tank. This fuel tank by itself weighs only 2 pounds. As far as power is concerned, because a lot of people buy these motorcycles based on what they want to do with them. If you're somebody who likes to ride primarily for the street, obviously the R6 is going to be a better choice for you. If you're going to be riding this motorcycle a lot on the track, and please, 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 if you buy this motorcycle, please track it, because it is an unbelievable beast. Recently I took my R6 to the track and I had a fantastic time, and based on what the R6 did, I can only imagine what the R1M is like. I'm going to be releasing the full review of the R1M, so make sure that you like this video and also subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for the R1M review. I will catch you guys in the next episode. Ciao for now.